So thank you for the gift of time.
Okay, no, you're welcome.
And
Sorry that it's taken so long.
Oh,
Crazy
well.
year.
busy is busy, and that's okay.
Okay.
Another reason why I wanted to see you, because you had some very valuable information you shared. And so I thought, well, it would be great to interview you because part of my resiliency channel is all about resiliency.
Okay.
And so I like to raise awareness that resiliency is a set of factors that help us all have more safety, more to a lot more success, and a better quality experience.
Absolutely.
Now, of course, sometimes I talk to cancer patients about being resilient. That doesn't always change your outcome, but you can have a better quality journey.
You can, you know, the only, I mean, this is not what we're talking about, but like, I feel like people often misunderstand that, and then they end up giving a message to cancer patients that if you had a better, if you were different, it will change your outcome. And it's a horrible message.
It's a terrible message.
It's a terrible message because it's blame the victim, because I think, like, no, it might change how you feel. You can't necessarily change the outcome.
I confused my team when I was ill because I was too happy. And I said, well, I phoned 190 people after my diagnosis. Within 24 hours, I had a new will made to be completely up to date because my spouse didn't need to worry about that sort of thing. Had a moving company lined up so that should I die, my spouse had everything ready to roll with one call. Everybody had everybody's numbers. Work, home, training office. And then it was, okay, now I'm going to concentrate on living till I die. And if that's in 6 weeks or 6 years or 60 years, look out world, I'm coming through, going to be making a joyful noise sometimes and bawling my eyes out other times. And my mental health team just didn't quite understand that. You should be sad all the time. You get cancer, it spread to 4 locations. I said, no, I'm sad part of the time because I got cancer, but I still got another whole piece of life I want to celebrate till I die. And by the way, it's terminal. You're going to die too. Are you too happy? We didn't get along at all. Because he came right in the room and said, you're too happy. Didn't say, hi, I'm Dr. So-and-so, not hi, how's your day? Just 0 to 100, and then it was like, wow, you failed social protocols on how to deal with the ill. So we have people from all over the world that watch. Sometimes we have 1,000 people watch us in a week, and sometimes we have 7. We're just never sure what catches people's fancy. We did a little 1-minute promo video on resiliency, and suddenly a couple years later, 6,000 people have watched it. Because it's nothing to sell. Just we want you to talk about resiliency with your friends and your teachers and your classmates. So you came to that Toronto Police Services event and you talked about safety. And so I was wondering from your perspective, if you have 2 or 3 things you could share, because safety and resiliency really are hand in glove.
Well, try to think back. So one thing I think is that education is always really important, and also expectations. So one of the things that I think people, like, first when we think about the internet and something goes wrong, people think, oh, it's bad. So we have to remember it's there to stay. Overall, it's great, but like anything that's great, it has tremendous limitations. So it's like information is power. So I think it's very important for kids and parents and adults, everybody, to be aware of the risks, the dangers, and how to problem solve, and what to do to avoid that, like how to, you know, what they call netiquette, and how to be safe online, but also to expect, to understand what the dangers are, and have problem-solving abilities, skills to deal with them. But also, and I think this is important for resiliency too, even though it might sound not quite, is we need to expect that kids are going to run into trouble, whether they do it inadvertently or whether they just do it because they do it. And if we end the story, you know, the message with, okay, don't do this, don't give out your password, don't go onto a chat line, don't go do this, period, then we're setting the kids up, because many kids won't. But the kids that do are then going to think, uh-oh, I can't go tell my parents, I can't go tell my teachers because they'll be disgusted with me, they'll punish me, they'll whatever. So then they start making bad choices. So that's where I think the resilience is, okay, don't do this because da-da-da-da, but if you do it, because you're human, whatever, and people worry that that means you're giving permission. You're not giving permission to do it. You're just saying, if you do it and get into trouble, come to me and here's what you can do. And that way, then that becomes part of the resilience. And then I also think a wonderful message about that is then the kids learn that if I get into trouble, I can count on, and
I'm honorary uncle to some families because the mom and dad said, if it's big and you don't want to talk to us,
Exactly. And then when they go talk to you, if they're honorary uncle, so it's not just that you're gonna go solve it for them, and helping them solve it, you're gonna give them their own skills to solve it. So I feel, so it's like from beginning to end, so the first and I think that discussion and that kind of stuff has to happen before any problems happen.
I totally agree.
And then it has to end assuming that there might be problems, so rather than just don't do it. And I find that with anything, so, because in our research, what we found, is that kids would say, this is a kids' help phone, kids, they would say that they would rather take the risk, if they were worried about somebody stalking them, to hopefully, hope that wouldn't happen, because they didn't want to tell their parents, because the parents would be disgusted.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I realized everybody's gotten the message. The message is tell the kids not to do it, and everybody's doing that, but they've not got the second part of the message.
And you gotta have the second part.
And we learned that, you're close to my age and you know about drinking and driving, right?
I was gonna say
Because
that.
when we were growing up, it was don't drink and drive, end of story. So it didn't help us, right?
No.
Now, it's don't drink and drive, but all this millions of dollars has been spent on public announcements, which is really important to say, and if you do, phone your parents, and the messages to the parents, don't get mad, pick them up, keep them safe.
Or the new cell phone, smartphone, where you just call a taxi, one touch.
Absolutely.
It's brilliant.
Absolutely. So, so part of it is really, so I think, resilience to me is a whole, because part of resilience is knowing that life means there's wonderful things that happen and there's challenges. And actually you can't be resilient without the challenge.
No, if you don't have any mistakes made, it makes it
know,
really tougher later in life, because
Exactly.
you got no pain earlier.
And you don't know that if you're doing well, you don't know if you're resilient. You only know if you're resilient if you've dealt with the negatives. So I think, that's really important. And also the other piece I would say too, is that we live in a society, understandably, that we want quick answers, so we want tips. And often for things like this, there's not quick tips.
No quick fixes with resiliency. It's time, patience, process, skills.
And same as with internet and cyber stuff.
Yes.
Especially because it's complex, it's new, it's pervasive. So I think that's the other thing we have to do is we might have a few tips, but we also have to realize that the tips are simplistic. They're only one tiny piece of it. We can't just count on that.
I like your point that they're going to make mistakes, so let them know that, okay, we don't want you to do it, but if you do it, we're here.
Yeah.
So I can think of a parent who told me that his 15-year-old said, Dad, I have to go to the mall. I met a nice man. And the dad thinking, oh, 18 then if he's a nice man, not a boy because he's 15 like you.
Right.
Well, okay, this family said that 2-year-olds and 92-year-olds were good to have as friends. So the dad said, so I'll give you right. Just how old is he? Oh, he's 36. Oh, well then phone him and tell him let's have a visit here. I'll serve tea. Because the family said it's okay to have friends of every age, but there's certain boundaries until you're 17, 21 that you have to be aware of because not everybody's safe.
So that's great.
So she was like, well, that's mean. No, asking you to come and meet at the mall only sort of smacks of hiding. And so it's good to have privacy in a resilient family, we say, but secrets get us in trouble.
Perfect.
And
That's great.
so she had a few tears. The mom was aghast. The dad was like, we've been telling her to have friends of all ages because that's healthy. Just how you have them and where you have them is the issue that we're going to deal with.
And also to teach her about secrecy versus privacy.
Yes, because I also have 2 daughters, and at a certain age it's like, oh, is that 40-year-old looking at my 12-year-old?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, she does look like her mother, who's gorgeous, and she does look 18.
Yeah.
Okay, he's not leering, he's just
Right.
respectfully looking. So yes, so resiliency for us is about introducing people to the topic, some of the basic process and some of the basic factors, and then introducing to others who have things to add to flesh it out, because I don't pretend to be all things to all people.
And none of us can be. But you just raised something else I think is really important, is that in order to deal with it in that way, for the adults, it means being uncomfortable. Because it's much more comfortable to say, don't do it.
Well, then there's no discussion.
Right, but right, so there's lots of, you're comfortable, but there's no discussion. So I think it means you have to be prepared. It's like when, talking about compromise. Compromise is nobody's completely happy. So for this kind of thing, the discussion is uncomfortable for both.
Absolutely.
But the main thing is you want the discussion not closed down. The worst thing that can happen is have it go underground, because then the kids are at risk.
I can think of a father who deliberately posted the family dog on a social site. Everybody knows it's the dad that runs the dog's message. Sometimes the message of the day from the dog is woof. Sometimes there's a picture of the dog lying in the sun sleeping, the dog's elderly, past
Right,
12.
right.
And all the tagline is, I earned this, woof.
That's cute.
What the father said is interesting is that the father, I think they have 4 kids if I remember correctly, all of their kids, friends, talk to the dog on Facebook. And the first thing the father says is, now you know it's Mr. Jones here, it's not the dog obviously, but
Right.
it's, yeah, well, I just feel comfortable talking to you this way. He said, not one of them, for the most part, talks to me direct except at my birthday.
It's great.
But he said the dog seems to relax them and remind them that we think we're a very safe family.
Great.
So he said, the young lady whose parents see life as black and white and kicked her out, turned to one of my kids and talked to the dog. We helped her get a safe spot in a shelter.
Fantastic.
And one of our kids fit her clothes back and forth, so we gave her 2 days worth of clothing. And then we gave her a certificate so she could buy underwear. And it was like, okay, no, she can't live here. We'd have 47
Right.
kids
So
here.
they have limits, but
So I found that interesting because
Yeah.
I never thought of a family pet as an online safety valve.
But you know what that makes me think of? When you think about, because I'm a therapist, like when you think about doing therapy with kids, right? Often it's through play or symbolic.
Yes,
And that's similar, right? Because it's easier to talk about it in the play.
yes.
And so this is where it's like you're talking to the dog, and so that just makes it easier than talking to the father.
And so now the kids are all past 15 now, but the dog's still hanging in there. And they're
Fantastic.
still friends of the family,
So it's fantastic.
talking to the dog. And I thought,
It's whatever
we're
works.
all going to miss the dog. But some of these adult kids, this dog's been their median to the
Yeah.
safe
Yeah,
dad in the
that's-
neighborhood.
It's great.
And I thought, wow, that's really a great
It
idea.
really is, yeah.
So,
So yeah, so that's the message, whatever it takes to keep the communication open.
and I think it's a very valuable, because in talking to youth at risk on occasion, I talk about the difference between secrets and privacy.
I think that's a great way to do it. If it's a secret, like if you can't tell somebody, then something's going on.
I can remember having my daughters hit puberty, and then somewhere between 15 and 17, a couple were like, "Hi, Mr. Ballard," and my daughters were like, "She's flirting with you, that's gross." I said, well, yes, but she knows, because we've talked in front of you, there's boundaries. I'm significant, I love to tease about my age. I'm old, my best before date's way down the line.
Right.
I can appreciate that you've become charming and beautiful, but we talked about during the women child part of the journey, it's more than inappropriate to do more than, wow, you look fantastic
Right.
today. Or those shoes look stunning. We'll leave it at that.
Right.
Other than that, it's not appropriate. Oh, you're kind of boring, but I get it. And I thought, phew, because it's the
Yeah.
last thing you want to do is have a 16-year-old when you're 40
Yeah.
talking inappropriately.
Yeah.
So it's about setting boundaries and expectations too, is
Mm-hmm.
one of the things when we talk about being resilient. And whether that's as a physical sport or in a relationship, because it's about being safe, but
And the other thing I think it is, like years ago, did you ever hear of a book called The Invulnerable Child?
no.
So it's by Jerome Kagan, and it was called The Invulnerable Child. And at that point, it was kids who were just very resilient, who did amazing in the most dire of circumstances. So at that point they were thinking there was something about this child that made them invulnerable, but now they don't do that anymore. They changed it, because now they recognize, because that was based on the idea that there's something about this child internally that makes him or her invulnerable. And now they've realized, no, to be truly resilient, first of all, nobody is invulnerable.
No.
Everybody has one. But also to be truly resilient, it's not just internal. So it's what you bring and it's what you get. So that's the other thing. It's like figuring out, so some kids are going to need more to be resilient.
Absolutely.
And and adults, and some are going to need less. And also it's going to change in our lives, right? Because I mean, one week you might need more, and if somebody's sick or they go through crises. So I think that's the other thing about resilience, is recognizing that you have to accommodate and shore people up more, give them more support.
Different stages of life,
Absolutely.
different issues require
Absolutely.
different supports.
Absolutely. And it's all to be resilient, and it's all for the person, but it doesn't all come from inside.
One of the things with the youth at risk, as I say, so like the song and the corny song from Ghostbusters, "Who You Gonna Call?"
Right.
When things are tough in what areas, who's on your short list?
Exactly.
Have you built a team?
Exactly. And
I said, I could think back to high school at 16, who had a car? Oh, we could go see movies. I'll pay the gas and your ticket if you can drive us all there. And
Exactly.
he'll buy your pop.
Yeah, exactly.
And so there was a little bit of using there, but